Make sure you're not mute.
Money, we got that Fly Nubian money. We talk about that money, we all about that money. Money. We got that Fly Nubian money. We talk about that money, we all about that money. We love our black skin, our melanin, always focusing in on that money. We always win, money never thin, 'cause we hustling, always focusing in money. We got that money. We that Fly Nubian money. Boss talk, we stack it up. We talk about that money, we all that money. Fly Nubian money. Fly Nubian money.
And we cute too. Happy Monday, everybody. Listen, we're moving right along in this March. We blinked and we're at the end of the month. So welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you to master your mindset and maximize your money. Today, y'all, we're really talking about what's happening at the airports across our country. And to understand this, we have to look at how we got here. Right now, we're in the middle of a partial government shutdown that started on February 14th due to the funding standoff over the Department of Homeland Security. Because of that, TSA agents, who are considered essential workers, have been required to show up to work without pay for over 5 weeks. Y'all, I'm gonna say that again. 5 weeks. That is way more than a month with no paycheck. And what happens when people aren't getting paid? They stop showing up, they quit, and they find other ways to survive. Now, listen, we're seeing lots of TSA agents leave their job. I have a friend who actually left. She said it is a hot ghetto mess. And in some airports, over a third of the workforce is absent, leading to long lines, delays, and a lot of chaos. So now the government is stepping in with a solution. A solution. Deploy ICE agents to airports. Starting this week, starting today, it is happening today. They are supposed to be stepping in to manage the situation. But here's the issue. ICE agents are not trained to do TSA screenings. So they're being brought in for support roles, not actually to do the job. So the real question becomes, is this a solution, or is this what it looks like when a system starts breaking down? And more importantly, what does this mean for workers' job security and how money is being handled at the highest levels? Y'all, it's deep. And it's something that we do have to touch on because it does affect many of us, not just those who are working in the airports, but this is a trickle down effect. This is a domino effect of what happens when someone doesn't get paid. Now, what do they got to do? What, blah, 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 the long lines. Y'all, summer's coming. And I have got the best panel of queens to talk about this today. We are welcoming Marlo Lacen, TV producer and journalist. We have Tiara Williams, Miss Black Hollywood. She's also a vocalist and she does all the things, y'all. She produces this show. And then you have me, little old Laura Lala, singing international real estate agent and one who travels quite a bit. So I can tap in on telling you what's going on at the airports, because this actually means international too, guys, not just the United States of America. So ladies, I'm already fired up about it because I don't like anything that is happening in our country right now. I think that's very clear. Most of our viewership family know that about me. But what was your first reaction to this story when you heard about it? I'm going to start with you, Marlo.
Thought that it would be resolved by now. I didn't think that they would let it go on this long, but I don't know why I would have thought that they would have come to a sound resolution, seeing as they are basically holding this funding hostage, right? And every government agency is a shutdown. The other arm of the Department of Homeland Security, as you mentioned, ICE, they still working, right? Why you got the TSA airport workers, other than so that we all can feel the pain as Americans. They spreading this pain around as much as possible.
And sticking it hard. And you can't even go to the emergency room with this stuff. What about you, Tierra? What was your first thoughts when you heard about this?
First of all, I didn't know it was I didn't know it was as real as it was, to be honest. I mean, I think I was like, oh wait, like maybe a week and a half ago, because I hadn't been on social media, so I hadn't traveled. But you know, obviously, I've been paying attention to one other thing. Like I've been looking at Iran. I mean, there's so many things to be focused on right now. I was like, oh, and TSA ain't working, right? So it was like, it was like, I was trying to travel to go to Pittsburgh this morning. You know, for a family emergency, and I couldn't get out. I mean, I can't even, it's expensive, but also the lines at LAX are at least like 7, 8 hours long. So yeah, no, I'm here with
7
you.
or 8 hours long. That's
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. Listen, y'all, we didn't get here because this was smart policy. There's nothing smart about this administration at all. It is a shit show. And it happened because this administration has turned our government into a hostage and demolition project. Everything that we do is falling apart. And the problem is we have so many issues going on at one time. It's hard to keep up, because every minute, every 30 minutes, every 10 minutes, we have something else that is being hit with us. And at some point, I think we're all in shell shock and we have PTSD. And I think that it's going to take a little while for us to sometimes shake that shit off and be able to finally say, okay, you know what? Y'all handle this piece. If this is your passion, you handle this piece. I handle this piece because this is my passion. But it's going to take a group effort of the United States of America, Americans, to stop the madness. But until then, we just continue to bleed. The shenanigans have already started at the airports, where ICE is doing what they were designed to do: destroy and then take you to some place that we don't know where you are, and you're lucky to get out. But we're going to start with a video. I want to know if anybody right now in our viewership family is traveling. If you're traveling right now, what are you seeing? I will share with you that I have priced 2 tickets for myself recently, one for July to go back to Kentucky for a family reunion. That's already well over $1,000 domestically. Because don't forget, not only do we have this TSA issue, we have a war going on where the fuel. So
Yeah.
you've got a double whammy going on, not just TSA and ICE and all that at the airports. You've got gas prices going up globally. So you have that. That was over $1,000, and that's booking in advance. Then I wanted to go somewhere next week. I wanted to go to Mississippi. It's well over $1,000. So what are you guys seeing out there? And then we're also going to talk about how we can prepare as well. So let's check out this video, and then we'll get back into this conversation.
People, many of them that we have spoken with, say that they have been in line for 3, 4, even 5 hours here at Atlanta's airport.
The flights were already closing. There's just a lot of traffic going on, so everybody getting things mixed up and stuff. I don't know what's going on. I've been here for a long time, and I'm ready to go.
The reason why, walk with me, I'll show you. If you take a look at what's happening at checkpoints, not only here in Atlanta, but across the country, because of the number of TSA call-outs, they have had to adjust to deal with the numbers. And so, when you go to the main checkpoint here, you see this additional long line. There, it's about a 2-hour wait to get through the checkpoint. We have heard from people all across the country who have echoed their concerns, saying that they want these TSA officers to get paid. The Trump administration says that they are bringing out ICE officers to try to help out in certain airports that they are calling hot spots. They say that in addition to that, they are also trying to work and really try to make sure that everything can be done as quickly as possible to not only make sure that these TSA officers are paid, but to ensure that the Department of Homeland Security is funded all across the board. Still, however, a bit of a mess, a lot of people frustrated, but especially those TSA officers who have missed not only one full paycheck, but are concerned they could potentially miss a second.
Y'all, that's mortgage payments, that's feeding your family, that's putting gas in your car, that's just getting to and fro. It's paying your LG&E bills. That's what we call it. Look, in Kentucky is LG&E. Your utility bills, your everything. If you're not getting paid, you're not getting paid. And it's as simple as that. I also want to bring up the fact that ICE was blindsided by this. The director of ICE literally said, "What? We're doing what?" He and Trump announced this on like Saturday, and on Sunday he was like, "Well, okay." And so they had no idea that they were doing this either. Marlo, listen, you're a journalist. You report on a lot of things. You see a lot of news come across your desk. Can you please explain to me the difference? Because some people may not know, believe it or not. What is the difference between ICE and TSA, and how do you think that ICE would be able to help in this situation?
Functionally, they're different, right? Like they both work in the airport. Sometimes there are ICE agents posted up in the airports because they are immigration and customs enforcement, right? So they enforce who is coming in and out of the country, what are you bringing in and out of the country. And in certain airports that fly internationally, you have to encounter customs if you're flying internationally. Obviously, the TSA was created, as we all remember, after 9/11, right, as a safety mechanism for airports to keep people from bringing shoe bombs and flying planes into buildings and all this other stuff. And that's how we end up with, so TSA is the newest, I guess, part of DHS, the Department of Homeland Security. And look, the people have the money, okay? Kristi Noem had to sit in front of the people before he fired her and pretend that she didn't know that $200 million was spent on a marketing campaign. Where would we be if $200 million hadn't been spent on a marketing campaign last year? We would be in a situation where these people could get up and go to work with dignity and take care of their families. We could talk about this moment right now with the funding bill and holding it hostage for the FADE Act and all of that other stuff. But TSA under DHS, because we prioritize ICE, it's been in disarray. When these people did their budget talks last year before Congress, half of them did not even understand the budget process. And this is why when y'all people were saying, "Oh, we need a businessman," business does not function like government. And so here we are with the businessman not caring about your inconvenience. You go to McDonald's, they don't care about your inconvenience. You in the drive-through, you go to the Walmart or wherever you go that is corporatism, capitalism, them folks don't care about your end user experience. And so this is where we are with President Bankruptcy, having us stand in these long lines because he's flying on our dime. He getting to where he gotta go on Air Force One, Air Force Two, Helicopter 3, the damn mule, what's the thing called? The beast, he don't have to worry about transportation. That is a us problem. That is a peon problem. And it's a problem that we're gonna have to take care of if we don't want to spend the next however many summers in this same conundrum. Because if it's not one thing, it will be another.
You bring that up, and the truth of the matter is, let's put it in perspective. Yes, of course, he is definitely flying on our government dime, but so was Kristi Noem. So is Kash Patel. They are using these airplanes and helicopters like, there's some rich trillionaire running around having parties. Let's not forget Patel and all of those went to the Olympics and had parties on our dime. So to them, it's a you problem, not us problem. And I think us need to get together and figure out how we're going to start fighting this, because otherwise where are we going to go from here? We're already burning in hell. We're already in level 50 of hell. So at some point we're going to have to bring it up. Now, Tiara, I do want to bring this point up because coming up, I'm 56, but coming up, I was always taught that if you could get a government job, that you would be stable. You would feel like you were comfortable. Do you think government jobs are still considered stable?
Not at this point. No, not at this point. Up until this administration or him being, it being a Trump administration, you're absolutely right. In the last few years, I've seen so many of my friends who have been otherwise stable forever, as long as I've known them, to the point where I'd be like, I need to give me a good government job. And they have been stressed in a way that I've just never seen. I mean, the way that they're talking about the future of their jobs, the future of the government, the collapse, I mean, the things that are happening behind the scenes, the way that he is really breaking down our system is alarming. I mean, to the point where sometimes as in particular, one of my really good friends works in cybersecurity, and the way, when we're having these conversations, I'd be like, wait, what? Because that's how much is happening over their head. I mean, imagine if they don't know what's happening, right? There's so much happening. So, and they're on the inside. So we're, just there's so much happening, y'all. And so I think it's hard to keep up because of everything happening. We're in survival mode. And so as long as we're in survival mode and just trying to keep our head above water, and I just mean that mentally, emotionally, financially, I think that they can keep doing that, keep causing the confusion. Like like I said before, I was focused on Iran, right? Like I was focused on gas prices because gas is $7 here, right? Almost, something like it. So, it's hard for me. I'd be like, oh, TSA. What? Oh, Mueller died. Oh, he didn't care. Oh, there's all these things. So I would just say, yeah, I think as long as we have this administration, it's going to continue to be a struggle. And then
And let's not forget, we only in it a year.
right? And then the aftermath of him after he's gone, what we'll have to deal with and what will have to be cleaned up, and if anything, depending on who's
I
in
think
power.
it's going to take generations before we see any kind of cleanup. The shit show started as soon as he took office, and within a month he had us destroyed, allowing Musk and his Doge boys to get in there and tear absolutely everything down. Money missing. Where is this money coming from? Where is it going so fast? And when we say drain the swamp, we really mean, what is there to drain? Because they've put this money somewhere. So where is it? Walterine said government jobs are actually the most insecure jobs in today's climate. And then Armando says the rumor is a U.S. bank building is going to be targeted. See, there's a lot of smoke screens, and what he's referring to is also tied into the war.
Yeah.
I mean, you see how all of this is just a ball of confusion, and it's so hard to focus when you are in a tornado. But I think that was the plan, y'all.
Yeah.
That was the plan. You are talking to someone, and I'm sure Marlo can testify with me. I dug deep into Project 2025. I yelled at the world about it, and people told me I was crazy. And now all of this is coming up. It is coming up. Now, we'll share with you, my friend who worked for TSA for a few years. And this is the first time that she said, she said, I've hung on and I've hung on. I've done what I needed to do. I've been through this madness. She said, but I can't feed my family. She literally left TSA and is working at Trader Joe's because she needed something to feed her family. These are very, very precarious times. So we will be talking about some things that we can share as well. So, I want to watch another video because I want us to understand really what's going out here in the world, how people are feeling about it. And then, of course, we'll address some things that are also happening with ICE. Let's check out another video and get back into the conversation.
Oh, here I am, day 30 of the government shutdown, currently driving to work. I can honestly say this is probably the most humiliating feeling ever. Driving to work, burning your gas, your resources to protect people, and you're not really respected. and you're surviving with no pay, but you're showing up to work every day. You know, I don't really speak much about my personal life or whatever, but I can tell you, people around me are suffering. They're suffering big time. I'm just fortunate enough to be in a position where I can still kind of maintain right now. But as far as others, people have been evicted, you know, people running up credit cards, getting loans. Mind you, the last government shutdown was 43 days and people are still recovering from that shutdown. And now we're still facing another one, day 30. The people that are still recovering from the loans and the credit card payments, now they're forced to try to do more loans.
And that's exactly what's happening. When you can't afford things, you have to do what you need to do to survive. You know, Marlo, how important is it for consistent pay to someone who is supposed to be protecting American people? I mean, you expect them to take care of us, but we're not taking care of them. So what are your thoughts on that? And what are maybe some solutions that you have come up in your own mind?
It's really despicable, right? It is so despicable to see the government just decide for one particular bill, right? A bill that if you read this voting, whatever this voting bill is, if you read it, it reads so crazy. If you talk to lawmakers, the lawmakers that I've talked about or spoken with about this, I'm like, well, why did we need the real ID? That was supposed to be certified, right? You send everybody through these loopholes. Now you're saying, oh no, but you can't vote with the real ID because anybody can get a real ID. Like, stop playing in people's faces. A birth certificate, you can't vote with a birth certificate because it could be anybody. It could be a forgery. Well, then anything could be a forgery. So the fact that we are holding up people's livelihoods and it's affecting other people's livelihoods. If you rent, who you rent from is in a hardship right now because you haven't paid rent. So do they evict you and put a family out on the street, or do they continue to live through a hardship? You're not buying groceries, whatever little creature comforts you had going on, nails, eyelashes, haircuts, going out to eat, that's dead, right? So this is having a ripple effect on the American economy in a way that our lawmakers are insulated from. They never have to be bothered by this. I mean, the lowly junior, senior House members and senators, yeah, they feel a little pinch. But the vast majority of the people in Washington, D.C. that are holding up this bill, and I just saw John Cornyn from Texas arguing with another lawmaker talking about, tell your Dems. I wanted somebody to push his old ass on the ground because what are you talking about right now? Like, this is real people's real lived experience that y'all are really holding up for bigotry and racist purposes. That is all that this voting bill is, right? This is another way to other people in the voting booth. And so I think that it is despicable. I think that everybody, I mean, I also think, and I have been saying this since the beginning of the second administration, that this is them also getting us ready for not having a midterm election. These people are not behaving like people that are going to be out of a job in 7 months. These people are behaving like they know they're about to be there for the long haul till they die. And I think that everybody needs to really be paying attention to this and looking at how they are dealing with one arm of the Department of Homeland Security, just one. They haven't cut off DHS contractors that are out there. They haven't, whoever they have that do covert ops for this department, because all government agencies have some type of undercover agency portion of it. Those people aren't cut off. So why are these particular people cut off? I'm gonna say it again. It's so that all of us can be inconvenienced by this. So all of us can be mad about this. So all of us can be bickering and infighting and hating each other more because the people at the top have zero consequences.
I hate to say it, but that's where I am. I'm going to be very honest with you right now. Anybody that I know right now who voted for this man, I have disdain for. Simple. You knew what he was before you went in there. You knew about the Epstein files. You knew about what he did the last time. You knew about this man. I knew about this man in the 80s just because my father in law knew, because he worked in his realms. So I have a problem with that because to me, it just says you were so worried about a black woman running this country that you allowed a pedophile, allegedly. When are we going to stop saying that? To get in here and do what he has done to every last one of his businesses, not a care in the world about you who put him in there, if you really put him in there, because I have a whole nother section of that, but I'm gonna leave that out because right now, regular people who are good people who are just trying to go to work, just trying to raise their families, just trying to feed their families, just trying to have a good damn day can't do it because they're not getting paid. So they're having to pivot and do other things just to make it. And some of them are still holding on and still taking second jobs because they still have to pay to feed. So that, Tia, have you ever had to pivot like that quickly in something that you've done? How does that affect you mentally?
Listen, so and I want to stay on track, but I can liken this moment to just a couple years ago. We had a strike here, a writers and actors strike. And listen, after we were nearly down for about a year, and I've said before, I think on this very platform, that at some point I was out trying to like DoorDash, like trying to like prepare myself for whatever was coming. And I think maybe on DoorDash, like I think I had sat for like maybe 4 hours and I think I made like $10. And I remember just like crying, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do now? Before this, I had just had we were working on getting a screenplay made. Universal had signed the deal. It was a whole thing, right? They had brought in Mario Van Peebles to be the director, and then the strike hit and nothing happened, right? And so, I can just imagine for TSA workers, like my heart is with them just having to pivot. And I remember, and I'll just say this, like after maybe 3 or 4 weeks, I was like, I just don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I ended up having to call a crisis hotline. Like one night, I was just filled with so much anxiety that I just couldn't go to sleep. And I just kept crying. And I was like, I just don't know what's happening. So I definitely have been in a situation where I've had to pivot. But I wanna just make sure because I really felt what this young man was saying in the video about like them having to like use credit cards and get loans and just kind of suffering through it. And Marlo just asked a question like, why are there casualties? Like why is the rest of DHS funded but TSA has to suffer? And I think that I heard when Donald Trump say when we were talking about the war in Iran, he was like, there's some people that's gonna die, right? So it's not even about. It's like listen, we gotta to make a point. I gotta make some people suffer. I mean, I'm not gonna suffer, but some people are gonna suffer. So I'm just thinking about that, like processing that the American people will be the people that suffer. We are the ones that will pay the price for whatever bickering is happening at higher levels, and we'll be so confused and distracted. I know we've been talking about coming together and unifying, like we need to just stand together. But how can you stand together when your sisters can't even eat? Right? There's some people that they can't, it's hard to talk to somebody about mobilizing and doing some things when you hungry, right? Like I'm thinking about when I was calling the crisis hotline, like ain't no way Marlo could have called me like, Tierra, okay, we about to go out. I didn't go out and strike. I was like, man, I got to figure out what I'm gonna do. Right. So I just think it's important. Like that just keeps like reverberating in my spirit what you said about like we gonna have to pay that price, unfortunately.
And let's not forget that even the food banks have been cut and defunded underneath this administration. So typically people would think, okay, at least I can go to the food bank and get some food. But many food banks are now begging people to please come and bring something because they're low or they don't have anything. There have been a few that have closed because they do not have that. And then also there's other things that we're not seeing, which will affect our economy as well. There is a massive fire in Nebraska that no one is talking about, and all that farmland is being ate up by fires. No one is talking about that at all. My brother lives in Lincoln, so he keeps me updated on that. So you're right. There's so many things that we are being hit with. Marlo shared a fact with us that 376 have quit their jobs altogether since the shutdown began on Valentine's Day, according to the Department of Homeland Security. That's a lot of people who have had to leave. And there are so many that are just trying to hold on. We looked at that video of that gentleman who said, hey, I'm still going to work, but I'm going to share with y'all. I don't normally share personal stuff like this. This ain't easy. So there are plenty who are still taking their jobs very seriously. Deborah says it's easy. It's really sad because we're still paying the TSA fees in our airline tickets.
Yes.
So why aren't the agents being paid? Marlo, I'm tossed that to you. Why aren't the agents being paid, Marlo?
Because when the people had to submit budgets, they was like, and they got the money anyway. Like, I never saw a budget process like that before in my entire life, where the people who are responsible for saying, okay, well, how can we cut this? Or how can we, they had zero answers. And so if you're allowed to do that and you just are carte blanche with America's money and you feel like it's an endless flow of dollars, then you just gonna do whatever you want to do. I mean, I'm gonna keep pointing to our cosplay Department of Homeland Security, former Department of Homeland Security secretary, who was riding through the Great Plains on horseback, looking like the greatest porn star in American history. She got 3 outfit changes. She walking through, the ICE detention centers and red bottom heels, like just everything that's out of place, that could be out of place, was during that moment. And that's how we find ourselves here, right? And they can pretend and argue about voting bills and immigrants, but the reality is Tierra keeps kind of bringing up the war a little bit, keeps kind of reminding us that we're at war. And I want to remind everybody that I think over this weekend, they were talking about sleeper cells. We have spent the first however many months of this administration chasing down immigrants, taking people out of their sleep, doing all kind of wild and wacky things. Then we pick a war with the country that has the only country with more sleeper cells in the US than Iran is Israel. So put that in your thinking caps, guys. When we talk about Los Angeles, California, I saw Armando brought it up, talking about potentially an attack on the West Coast. It would make sense because the greatest concentration of Iranians is where? Southern California, kids. So there are so many things, and I said it when I said 2 things when he was reelected. I said, if you got a little scam on your heart, go ahead and run it right now, because now is the time. And I also said that things are going to be happening with such rapid fire succession, we will not be able to keep up with the chaos. And here we are. Both are still true. Go get you a little scam and run it, right? But also, things are happening at breakneck speed. Like, by the time you fix your eyes on what's going on over here, you got to turn your back completely to that to try to get a grasp on what's going on behind you. And as long as we're living in that, everybody just needs to be vigilant and pay attention to their surroundings and where they are, because we can't trust them to give us a heads up or a sensible explanation for anything at all. It's been proven they lie about the smallest things. They misdirect about the smallest things. They make memes about things that are very, very serious and do not deserve memeology. So this is the most unserious administration that we've ever been in across the board. And we will have to just pay attention. I keep telling y'all, whoever your nonprofit news is in your area, sign up, pay attention to what they are saying, because news such as I work for a national news organization, guys. It is, I ain't gonna say it's compromised, but there's things that they want and there's things that he gotta give them. So there is a level of, oh, well, we're looking over here right now because we need these things, right? And so if you want to know what's going on, find you a nonpartisan, nonprofit news organization to follow, just so that you can kind of have an understanding of what is going on in the United States, because you would hate to be having brunch, not paying attention, being an American that's unfocused, and something bad happens while you're at brunch because you aren't paying attention. So everybody, we need to lock in and pay attention, kids.
I'm going to take it even a step further, Marlo. If you can, make sure that you're watching news that is out of the country, because the international news is saying so much more than what you're getting, because as Marlo said, she said it's not compromised, but they turned the other way. Well, I feel like they've been compromised. They've been bullied into telling what this narrative is supposed to be. Now that's me talking, not Marlo. So y'all don't think, see, here's the thing. And this kind of ties in with me being an international agent. When you travel the world, your eyes are open to the world. You are not just an American citizen. Not everything happens in the whole wide world in America. We are worldwide citizens, and as such, you need to see what is truly going on in the world. America ain't even a toddler, y'all. Europe has been around for thousands of centuries. We are 250 years old. We ain't even had a toddler tantrum yet. We're just now gearing up for that. So you must be aware that you are a part of the world and not just a part of America. Let me tell you one more thing. People who are moving abroad, people who are traveling abroad, people who are working abroad, including working abroad in our government, have been told by our government, we ain't coming to save you. You are on your own. How about that? So you need to really know what's going on in the world, because it's not just an American issue. We do have some stats, and I would love to share some of those with you, because we also have some other videos that I want you to see that is going to be pretty eye-opening. But ICE agents are not trained to perform screening duties. We've already told you those are two separate jobs. They ain't even the same realm. TSA workers have been working without pay for weeks. We said over a month. In some airports, over 1/3 of TSA staff are absent. I would be too if I wasn't getting paid. I'll be selling me some Slurpee somewhere at 7-Eleven. Over 400 TSA agents have left their job during the shutdown. This affects all of our communities. Go ahead.
I have a question for you, ladies. So we saw that over the weekend that Elon Musk offered to pay TSA salaries, which I think is game, right? Because obviously, like, you stole the money, right? And now you like trying to give it back. It's like that gaslight is so real. But I don't know if you also noticed that there's a donation bin where us regular American folk are now putting money into a little envelope, and I guess TSA workers are taking that and splitting it, and that's how they're making ends meet. What do you all think about that? Like, us having to, I mean, I guess that's a way to band together. Lala, we talked about like unity, us being intentional. Like, okay, like I'm a help. Let me put $20, $30. What do you all think of that?
I don't have a problem with that. I really don't, especially if I'm traveling. If I'm traveling and you're watching out for me, I want you to get paid. I want you to eat that day. Please don't eat at the airport, because everything is 4 times higher. But, I don't have a problem with that. I don't ever have a problem with giving. I don't ever have a problem with giving at food banks. I don't ever have problems giving with someone who I feel is standing outside of a store and you can tell that they need food. After that money leaves your hand, it's not your responsibility anymore. It is actually just you doing your job as a good human and helping others. If they take that and do that money with something that they shouldn't, that ain't on me. So I don't really have a problem with that at all, but it's a shame And it's absolutely disgusting that we have departments who are ordering lobsters and steaks and spending billions on state dinners and having a good old time. And people who are working to help keep America safe can't even eat right now. So I don't have a problem with that. But I have a problem with this government all the way from the top, from the rooter to the tutor, as my mama used to say.
Yeah. Oh, Marlo, what about you? What do you think about Elon Musk offering to pay? Real
Well,
quick before I run the next.
listen, don't give us our money back, sir. Just keep what you stole. I think it's sweet that people are helping, but I think Aisha had a point. Until when? How long, right? And I don't mind helping either, but I'm gonna probably be a little less likely to put some $20 in there because I'm being inconvenienced, right? So now what was supposed to be a fun situation for me has turned into my ankles swollen, my feet hurt, right? It ain't time for me to sit down. I haven't reached the sit down portion of the airport yet, so all I can do is stand up and shift my weight to different legs. I might not want to put no money in there, right? Depending on how I feel. So I think that it's a great gesture. Americans will always band together to help one another. But this is not our problem. We
Yeah.
paid the taxes. We have done our part to provide this funding. Every time we spend, every time we earn, we must file. Get out my face, old octogenarian men who love their new daddy Donald. Please find a solution. That's your whole job.
You know, I also don't want us to forget, because a lot of the times when we think of these things, we think of ourselves at whatever age we are, maybe our college kids. But don't forget, you're dealing with, there's a lot of elderly that are traveling too.
Yeah.
And they already have struggles just being able to get on planes. You know, I think of my mother-in-law. She's 89. She still travels. You know, she stayed with us for like 3 months, and you know, it was rough for her to take a flight, you know, at 89. So I worry about our elderly, and especially those who have children and babies flying with that. Those long lines ain't no joke. Now, Tierra was saying what, 7-8 hours in LA?
Yeah, I mean, the last
Portugal
time
just came out with the news that said that it's 10 to 15 hours.
my
'Cause
goodness.
now you've got two parts to go through, international and that. But
Wow.
let's watch this next video, because I think it's something that we need to discuss, and we actually need to show what's really happening. Brace
Okay.
yourself.
Okay, yeah, let's go there, because I was gonna go to the bill, but we'll go to the.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm asking for your badge number, sir. What is your badge number?
President Trump decided to send hundreds of ICE officers into the airports that are greatly impacted, like here in Atlanta. Mayor Andre Dickens says those officers are meant to help with crowd control and line management. They are not supposed to conduct any immigration enforcement.
I think
Go ahead, Tierra.
this the presence of ICE, what they already mean in this country, right? It comes with tension. It comes with it almost feels like when he was trying to militarize our communities, right? It has that same feel, like I'm gonna come and I'm just whatever, they can just do whatever. You know, if you look a certain way, you shouldn't be profiled for trying to travel. This young lady was just traveling and that, you know, and to feel like I'm going to be targeted, and just their presence is going to make you uncomfortable. So I just think that it's unfortunate that we've gotten to a place where it just sounds like people are crying. You hear people yelling, trying to support her, trying to support the person that's being detained. It's just a lot. It's a lot to take in. It does a lot to the nervous system. I'm not gonna lie.
No, it tears my heart apart, and it is very concerning for me. Um, for one, uh, I am very vocal about this government. I always have been, and I always will be. Um, and they also are profiling to make sure who you are before you get on that plane. They want to get your information, what your social media profiles, what your everything. Baby, I'm marked. I know I'm marked. I'm just a little old Lala, but I'm still marked because of I speak against this administration. Now, this young lady obviously is in distress, and that's a hard thing for other people to watch and go through, knowing that this is what's happening. What happens next is a whole nother ball field. She may get detained. She may be put in detention centers. We already know that those detention centers are nothing but concentration camps. I said it. Lala said it. No one else on here did. I said it because that's what exactly is happening. Marlo, how does this video make you feel, and what are your thoughts on it?
You know, first of all, I feel embarrassed, right? I feel embarrassed as a person who, my dad was in the military. I started flying at a very young age, right? I can remember when, the airport was a bit of a status symbol, right? And there were far fewer people traveling. It was a very different traveling experience. To see what it became with TSA and how that just became a whole thing, and then that's a scam with the pre-check and the no pre-check. You pay your money in advance. They're not even doing pre-check, y'all. People that have paid and done all the things with pre-check in advance and have been using it for years cannot even use that in this moment. They have shut it down. It's too much. It's just it like Tara said, it's a lot for your nervous system. It's too much to watch, especially knowing that the whole gig is about chaos. There's no reason to send ICE there, especially unless you wanted to get heated because you understand how people view ICE, right? So when I've been online for 6 hours in the airport, this might be a connecting flight for me. It might have, you don't know what's going on in a person's personhood in a moment. Seeing an ICE agent there or a group of ICE agents there could incite emotions in people because, and then you there for what? You there to help expedite with the lines? We don't need a line leader, big dog. We need somebody scanning them licenses and passports, getting the green check so I could go on through. Like, that's where the deficit is. We don't need nobody yelling at people talking about getting the line straight. We don't need nobody coming and trying to tell adults how to manage their emotions after they've been held captive in an airport for 4 to 7 to 14 hours, depending on what their travel day has been like. I think that this is compounding chaos. I think that ICE is the chosen agency for this administration to carry out federal policing, because we don't really have a federal policing unit. And this is who they've chosen and tapped with doing that. And a lot of them seem to like it and seem to get off on it, even though they're not post-certified law enforcement agencies, right? So it's a hot, old, dirty mess, y'all. That's what it is.
As my friend said, it is a hot ghetto mess, because that's exactly what it is. The real Black Lexicon says, "Oh, I'm not flying till this gets cleared up." And Walterine said, "This is 100% on the do nothing gap turned held henchmen." Yep. They have dismantled the system of checks and balances and now work for the Heritage Foundation, who is giving orders to Stephen Miller. And if you guys don't know who that is, you need to kind of check it out. You need to know who that is. Armando says, "It appears to me they are in a position for riots, not to help. They're there for riots, not to help." Deborah says, "ICE was randomly checking luggage today at Newark Airport." What are they doing checking luggage? That's not their job. Whoo, Jesus, I'm gonna have to pray after we finished right now. Black Lexicon also says they should be able to make any changes they want after the midterms. If we even get there. And GMB says the objective was to unemploy TSA families, frustrate passengers, bring in ICE, and deport. And then Black Lexicon also said so many times they squander their house advantage and chose kumbaya instead. And he's talking about the Democrats. Listen, guys, when I talk about the government, I want you to understand that I'm one of those people who call everybody out. I don't care if you blue. I don't care if you red. I don't care if you purple. I don't care. If you're doing wrong and you're not handling what needs to be handled in our country, you will be talked about. You will be called to task in my eyes. So Fetterman, who's always on the Susan, always on thing, they got to go. They all got to go. I don't care if you're Democrat or not. I'm not one of those partisan people, and I never would be. If you're not doing the job, you don't need to be there. But see, Marlo said something earlier that hit home to me. A lot of the times when they get these bills, they don't even know what's in them because they don't read them. They just go off of what they're told and they don't read them at all. Right? Okay. I'm off my soapbox. I think I said a lot about our government because we're burning the hell, y'all. We're, like I told you, we're already in level 50 of burning hell. Yeah, shit. Right now, the demons are like, I'm not going down there. That's a bad place. But that's how I feel. So let's check out one more video and keep the conversation going, everyone. We appreciate you being here. Let's check this out. Get back into the conversation.
Now, as we load this, I love what you said about the bill because
update on TSA funding. This is reporting from Punchbowl, wholly reliable source for behind-the-scenes maneuverings in Congress. Yesterday, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, Republican, went to Trump and said, hey, we've got to deal with Democrats. We're going to carve ICE funding out, set it aside, deal with it later, and get everything else at DHS funded right now so we can fund TSA immediately. We'll deal with the ICE funding later. We'll negotiate with Democrats, whatever. And guess what? Trump said no. He said no. No deals with Democrats until they pass my voter suppression bill. Federal workers be damned. So when you see those long lines at TSA all week, the chaos that's going to keep growing at airports across the country, the TSA workers who don't have money to eat, just slap this sticker on all of it, because of course he did.
And those stickers are popping up at gas stations and everything, y'all. Literally popping up everywhere. I do want to ask one more question before we wind down, and I think it's a good question. Dr. Vibe says, are we seeing the decline of the American empire? And I just want to ask y'all that before we get into final thoughts. I don't want that to be your final thought, though. So, Tiara, do you think that we are actually seeing the decline of the American empire?
Yeah, I think greed, I actually low-key have been waiting for a bit of a dismantling of our country. I feel like we need it. I feel like the system that is in place that we've always talked about has not been beneficial for Black people. So there needs to be a dismantling. So I think before things can get worse, I know there's a rapper that said that like Hitler and Trump and all of them were heaven sent. But I think what he was trying to say was we need something like this to shake us in a way where the system can implode, if you will. And so I think that there is an imploding happening, but it definitely is going to be a good thing for us if we just allow them to, but we also have to be part of that. Like we have to know what to do next as they like continue to ruin the country, which is great for us because but we have to know what's happening in order and know how to handle it in order to like rebuild. But I think that I got a theory on that. But yes, the answer is yes.
How about you, Marlo? Are we seeing the decline of the great American empire?
I think so. And it's going to take a while, just like Rome. I know we always talk about, people compare the fall of the Roman Empire. It's like the great Western civilization thing. It took about 300 years for that sucker to fall completely, right? So they suffered 200 to 300 years of corruption and chaos and not rebuilding those little aqueducts that everybody likes to talk about how advanced they were. Even though they took it from the Northern Africans, we ain't going to talk about that part because we're going to keep it on to keep it. But it took about 200 to 300 years for Rome to fall. So we probably are in the infancy stages of this. If we can't, get this republic, I'm not going to call it a democracy because we need to stop playing with ourselves with words, but to get our republic back on, get off the banana republic boat and just become a regular republic again. Hopefully we can, but we might be tumbling toward the end real fast.
I'm gonna ride it screaming. I'm still not gonna let this ruin my life. I still think that someone called me, I think on another one of my podcasts, they called me the bleeding liberal. If that is the worst that you could do to call me, my friend, then you haven't done anything at all, because I'd rather be a bleeding liberal and care about people and care about our country than the madman who is up there tearing everything that he possibly can down and pocketing every last bit of your money. Let me bleed. If that means that it is, I will cry every day. I'm a very emotional person, but you don't want me to get to the point where I'm angry, and I'm already angry. I'm already angry. That's not a pretty sight for Lala to be angry, right? It's a good thing I can't get my nails done no more. But no, I think that this country was never built on solid ground in the first place, not for all. And when it's never built on anything solid, then nothing good can come of it. So now it is up to us that when we rebuild and we become that phoenix that comes out of the fire, that we build on the right terms. However, I don't think that I'm going to see that in my lifetime. And I plan on living to be 100. So simple as that. This has been an absolutely wonderful show. Before we go into final thoughts, I want to just hit a couple of more comments. Tierra, they are loving your hair, love. And Deborah said, shaking, 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 shaking. The real Black Lexicon said, I will fly the plane for emergency purposes only. And GMB says, we are not they. They will get theirs. And then the real Black Lexicon says, not close, just a different approach right now. Meaning, are we going downhill? I think we are going down here. Walterine says that is exactly what we are watching. I agree, Tierra. It has to be torn down and rebuilt. Yeah. And then Walterine also said, Benjamin Franklin said, we have a republic. If we can keep it, oh Ben, we are not keeping it. Lots of history being talked about today. And I will say one thing before we go into final thoughts. It's hard to go through it because there's something devastating about seeing your country burn. Nobody wants to see their country burn. But we are in it, and now we have to decide how we're going to move forward in unity. All right, Miss Tierra, should I start with you for your final thoughts and where we can find you?
Sure. Can you ask me a question because there's so many things I want to say. So just take any question off there. That way I can be concise and not like go on a soapbox. Just ask me a question.
I'd like to know what you would advise to people who have to travel right now. What should they do?
Yeah. As someone who is traveling next month, going to the Black Power convention and or conference in Miami, I've been thinking about this a lot, like just going and being prepared. I would just say that, just make sure that wherever you travel, just make sure you absolutely need to go because to be truth be told, if I wasn't one of the speakers at this conference, I probably wouldn't go, just because not only are we getting threats from Iran, and there's just so many things happening based on the administration. I just don't know how safe Americans are right at this moment. I know we've never had to, and I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I don't know. I know that, I was talking to a really good friend of mine who actually lives in the Middle East, and she was just saying that there's a certain time of the day where they have to go and shelter. And I was thinking, we as Americans, we couldn't even imagine that. We couldn't imagine having to go shelter from 6 a.m. to 3, 4 p.m. because of like retaliation possibility. Like we can't even imagine it. So I feel like if something happens where retaliation happens and a missile of some sort, something happens in America, it is going to be unprecedented, something we had never seen. And I'm not saying that that's coming. I'm just saying, like, it's just good for us to be safe while we have somebody in office that really does not care. He said people are going to have to die. Casualties will be. So that means that he doesn't care about us. So to answer Lala's question, because I want to answer the question, I would just say make sure that you absolutely have to travel, and if you have to absolutely travel, make sure you cross every T and dot every I, and make sure that you get there early so you're not frustrated. Just take care of yourself and make sure that you're being kind to the people around you. The TSA workers that are there, make sure that you are giving them love and telling them that you appreciate them, because they don't have to be there. They're not being paid to be there. So, even if it's a matter of, I just brought y'all some water. I don't know. Like, whatever it is, just make them feel seen and appreciated. So that is my thought. If you are looking for me, I am Tierra Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm also known as Carmen J, just depending on the day. And if you are looking for me, I'm at all platforms across as Karma J. That's KHARMA J. And that's also, I'm releasing some content, y'all. I've been working on some things. I've been working on some poetry. I've been really trying to really be an artist and instead of a producer, really just making that transition. So I have a lot of great things coming. And yeah, or you can follow me at Miss Black Hollywood. You can get the same content, because I'm put the same content on Miss Black Hollywood that I'm gonna put on Carmen J. So you'll get it either way. But thank you so much. This has been great.
Support local artists. There's a lot of shenanigans going on, especially with people stealing people's contents and likeness as well and putting it on Spotify without their permission. Make sure that when you are supporting the artist, that you are making sure you're supporting the right artist. And she has a website, y'all. So please go support her directly from the website. Yeah, I got to step up my game on telling y'all, don't just go support on Spotify and those things like that, because they ain't doing us right either. So please make sure that you go directly to the source. All right. Miss Marlo, you are our news expert. You see a lot of things out here. You hear a lot of things that sometimes maybe the average American person doesn't hear. What would be your advice to someone who doesn't exactly know where to start to get this news, to start including it in their day and start getting prepared?
Well, I would say gave a great suggestion earlier, finding international news, whether that is news from the continent of Africa, whether that's Al Jazeera, which is international. BBC does a great job internationally of covering news all over the globe. Local news, like, it's important right now to focus on local. Well, I say that because you got no control of what's going on in the federal government. You've already made the poor decision in choosing your senator or your House of Representative member. You've already put them over there, right? Even though there's a midterm election that should be happening in November, we just don't know the way that these people are behaving. But what you should do is pay attention to what is going on locally, right? Where is your mayor on this, right? What does your mayor say about the inconvenience that everybody is suffering through at the airport? What is your governor saying? I tell you what my governor is saying: we gonna send ICE. We send National Guard. He is gung-ho and goofy as hell, and he is all about it, right? So you need to know what your lawmakers are saying. And then I will challenge, if you will, local businesses to support TSA agents and their family. Give them set up a little discount for them, set up a free meal night, do something good, because they don't have nothing to do with this. ICE is the ugly cousin that they ain't even got nothing to do with. It's different training. They got different bosses. They just happen to be under the same budgetary umbrella. Do something nice for the TSA agents. And like Tiara said, be kind. Everybody's standing in the long line. You're not a special unicorn. You're there like everybody else. Also, I'm planning on traveling in the summer, and I'm thinking about, what I'm gonna do with this fiasco, right? I want to get my ticket and I want to get all my stuff taken care of now to avoid the high cost. But I'm thinking about taking a train, y'all. I am honestly thinking about hopping on the train, getting me a sleeping cart, and making it a different kind of experience, because I don't want any part of this vacation that I'm planning to be, oh, remember when we had to stand in the line at the I don't want that. That got nothing to do with me. This fool, this man with these two big clown shoes, he giving two big shoes to everybody and they wearing them like a bunch of damn fools. I don't want to have nothing to do with nothing that stupid. And so I will be avoiding the airport at all costs. Luckily for me, my loved ones, for the most part, are a drive away. So I don't have to worry too much about having to get on the plane in case of emergency with my children or my mother. My brother is a little bit of a distance, but if I gotta fly, I gotta fly. You understand what I'm saying? But just be sure that y'all are being kind to each other. This is the time. Don't everybody's suffering. Nobody's suffering is more important than the next person suffering, friends. And we all in it together.
We are. And wait, Marlo, where are we gonna find you?
Yeah, that's my little Instagram handle, y'all. I'm working on some things and trying to get more in content with you guys. I'm trying to see who my readers and my leaders are, because your girl might be starting a little new situation for the people, to give the people what they need, right? But I have to, drum up enough interest. I'm working to flip my website and turn it into something so that I can be one of those news providers that you guys trust and come and give that information from me instead of getting it from your cousin who cropped it and didn't want to add the important details because they wanted to make it seem like they made that content up themselves. Don't trust your cousin. Trust me, I'm your cousin.
I trust you, Marlo. I trust you, and I'm excited about that. Please make sure that you go and follow her. Here's my thoughts for you. Y'all know I'm always frustrated with what's going on, but I need you to understand that you are human first, and you can hear the frustration in all of our voices. This can consume you, especially when it starts to really affect your community, your family members. But always remember, you can't help anybody else until you take care of you. So at some point in the day, you got to do something that gives you joy. If that means that you have to go out and put your feet in some grass, go out and put some feet in your grass. Y'all, lately, Lala, I've been putting on some old school Prince every day, and I don't care who's watching. If you can see me through my windows or not, I'm dancing. Because you got to let the stress out. Because you can't help anyone when you're so pent up that you cannot even get yourself together to be able to help somebody else. So that is my tip today. And to also make sure that you have all of your paperwork in order. Not that it really matters, because they're trying to make sure that they don't matter either, but still do it anyway. Where you can find me is at laurakey.net. I have a new series of teaching people how to use AI, video, and photography. And if you're interested in doing that, I put together a whole home tour, y'all, with AI video, me, but not me. And if you're interested in doing that, please go to my website at laurakey.net and sign up for the Lunch and Learn so that you will be notified when the next class is there. Listen, this has been a really great conversation, and we've had lots of people who have helped us have this conversation today. We are grateful for you being here, especially on a Monday. Sometimes you feel a little sluggish on Monday, but you're always here. But this is also Women's International Month. And today we want to, isn't it Women's International?
It's Women's History Month. I don't know what the international part
Oh,
is.
well, I got it twisted. Still,
Yeah, it's International
something.
It's International Women's Month?
Yeah.
I forgot. I missed that international part. I just been celebrating women all
Celebrating women.
That's all right.
Listen, we're gonna celebrate Black women out here. Go ahead.
That's
Continue,
right.
Lala.
And that's what we
Every
do.
time you say that, I'd be like, international? What? Okay, go ahead. Continue. I was wrong.
But we have someone that you should know. Yvette Lee Bowser is the first Black American woman to create and run her own primetime television series, Living Single. She built a legacy in television by owning her voice and creating opportunities behind the scenes, showing the importance of ownership and control in creative industries. Y'all, we talk about that every day, but this woman didn't talk about it. She walked the walk, talked the talk, and I know she got a blueprint. Step on in it. Thank you, Yvette Lee Bowser. We appreciate you and we honor you today. Listen, at the end of this day, this isn't just about the airport. It's about understanding that no system is guaranteed. And if your income is tied to one system, you have to ask yourself, what happens when the system stops working? We've talked about a lot of things today. We hope that we've given you food for thought. And we hope that you too now are really thinking about, what do I need to do to make sure that my house is prepared for anything, whether financially or just even building up your little emergency kit. That is something that you do need to think about. We thank you for being here today. If you want to be reminded of these shows, because maybe you get busy during your day, all you got to do is text the word Queens, QUEENS, to 87948. And then if you miss any of our shows, don't forget we're on Spotify. So all you have to do is go to Spotify, look for us there, give us a 5-star rating so other people can find us too. And then we will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Be blessed, y'all. Have a good day.